Plenty of Coaches is the platform to find all kinds of experts who share the power of coaching and mentorship with others. Our platform brings together a diverse array of experts in every field imaginable, all committed to helping the members of POC in becoming 1% better each day. Our detailed search fields enables you to locate coaches who resonate with your goals and aspirations. That's not all. We take learning well beyond traditional boundaries. Our live streaming sessions feature experts who share their lessons and stories, providing our users with a daily dose of inspiration and knowledge and personal engagement. So, if you're looking to improve 1% better on anything in your life, please try plentyofcoaches.com. Perfect place to find the perfect coach. Hey everybody, Jeremy Torisk here with the Slight Edge Advantage. We are happy that you have joined us here today. We've got a really special guest. I just picked him up literally from the Fort Lauderdale airport. He's in town to speak with us at the Florida Speakers Association. So without further ado, let's get into today's guest. Today on the Slight Edge Advantage, we have a marketing keynote speaker and author who translates big brand strategies into knowledge that any business can use to win in the marketplace. Gerry's presentations drive growth with companies of all sizes, from small businesses even to billion-dollar brands. Gerry has built his career growing big brands and distills that experience into creating strategies and real ideas that are actionable immediately. After earning his MBA at the University of Michigan, he worked with Procter & Gamble on brands such as Crisco, Tide, Mr. Clean, and Spick & Span. Next, he went to Coors Brewing Company, and he managed Coors Light, a $2 billion business. Then he went over and became the VP of Marketing for the $1.5 billion Quiznos restaurant chain. Gerry was most recently VP of Marketing for Red Robin Gourmet Burgers, a $1 billion brand. Gerry works to first understand your unique goals and challenges, and then to deliver a presentation that delivers maximum impact for every dollar you invest. Please welcome to the show, Gerry O'Brien. And the crowd goes nuts.
That is a great, nice work. That was a great intro.
Welcome, my friend.
Thank you.
Welcome to beautiful South Florida. How cold is it when you left, or was that Denver this morning?
Denver, 36. So it was nice.
It was here. 63 when I went for my beach walk this morning. So,
nice. So I want to get a beach walk in yet today. So we'll have to see when we make.
Yeah, see, we'll have time. We'll get you in and out because we do things here pretty fast. It's pretty conversational, and my audience is used to just getting after it. So, like the intro said, you've done it all. We had Jeff Hoffman in here, and his only, I think, creating billions of dollars worth of revenue. He's the only person that comes close to what you've achieved over the past X number of years. Literally, you have these interviews with people, and you have all this in time to research them and all. This happened pretty fast. You know, our relationship through FSA, and I'm like, let's come on in and do a podcast because this is where the money is, man.
I love it.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about how you got into that market or a marketing industry, and then how you came out of it the other side being a professional speaker, helping now small businesses with these billion-dollar ideas.
Yeah, well, everything builds, right? So I started out my my journey in a small 4,000 person town in Wisconsin with one stoplight. You know, now since then,
yeah,
they've got 2 stoplights, 100% growth.
And a McDonald's, maybe?
Yeah, they had a Hardee's. Now we got a Burger King and a McDonald's.
High class.
It's big time now. And so people say, well, how did you go from there to managing a billion-dollar brand? So I joined the military, paid my way through college, and came out, and I was an industrial real estate appraiser. Very exciting, yeah. And I decided, listen, I want to do something bigger. I want to do something better. I want to go back to business school. So I got accepted to a top business school, University of Michigan, and came out and got a job at Procter & Gamble.
Were you really good in school? Because it sounds like you had kind of a vision of what you wanted to do, and you went to a school to do that. But were you a good student, and how was that going through college to?
It's funny, right? I was a little better than mediocre student at University of Wisconsin in undergrad.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes in the big, most prestigious places, they don't want people that are the top of their class.
Mm-hmm.
They also want people that bring unique skills and diversity.
Yeah.
Right. So I was in the military. I was from a small town. I grew up poor. I had experience working at a boot camp for at-risk kids. They want some people that bring a different, I wasn't a 4.0 student.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and interestingly, when you go to an interview at these, and so I go to business school. I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And they do like finance industry, work 80 hours a week on Wall Street, do consulting, right? Like, oh, you want to go and travel 5 days a week? Well, I kind of do that now, but I don't want to do that. And so I heard about brand management. And I'm like, oh, brand management? That sounds like kind of like running a business.
What year was that? Ish.
I was in business school 97 to 99. So
Okay.
98,
All right.
I'm evaluating, what am I going to do?
So .com burst right there. I mean, that's
2000.
the real big,
yeah.
the real big. At that time, it was just huge. Big.
Yeah, I remember I bought a book on this thing called Amazon back then. Yeah, it was like, ooh, they mailed it right to me.
Yeah, I was telling you earlier that Jeff Hoffman was in here. Jeff Hoffman actually created the first Amazon business model.
Oh, wow.
And you know why it failed? People were afraid to put their credit card information in this thing.
I mean, that's way back, right?
Yeah.
So I'm in business school, and I'm like, oh, being a brand manager, that sounds kind of like being in business, like being an entrepreneur, right? Except without all the risk, right? So I interview with Procter & Gamble. Turns out Procter & Gamble
Where were they located?
Cincinnati.
Okay.
And so
right there in the heartland.
Yeah, they've got hundreds of brands that are billion-dollar brands. And I'm interviewing with P&G. I got no marketing experience. I was a real estate guy.
Yeah.
Right? So P&G, turns out they don't care if you have marketing experience. You know why? They're the best marketers in the world. Why would they care?
What is a person going to bring to this organization?
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah. They just need the cogs in the machine.
Well, no, it's not that. In
Really?
fact, the opposite. What they interview for one thing: leadership. Show me that you are a natural born leader, and we will teach you how to be a marketer.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. And so their interview goes like this. Oh, tell me about a time when you were a leader. And then you give them some stupid business school example.
Yeah. And also you had the military
right.
to fall back on.
Right. You see how this all, everything builds, right? Yeah. And so then I'm interviewing with them, and they're like, well, what about leadership beyond business school? Oh, I'm like, well, let me tell you about when I was at a boot camp for at-risk kids. Oh, let me tell you about when I was in the military. Let me tell you about when I was leadership. And all of a sudden they're like, yeah, you're our guy.
So it's funny because I hold masterminds for speakers. And I've only been paid to speak a few times, but I understand what's important, and I understand the power of storytelling. It sounds to me like that interview was exactly what we do as paid speakers on stage, and to get that message through from stage you had these automatic, you didn't have to think about it, you didn't have to memorize it. It's not like you went to those interviews and I said, oh, I got to remember these 5 things.
Right. Well, it's what I teach today,
yeah.
which is when someone is interviewing you, talking to you, thinking about buying from you, considering buying from you versus all your competitors, oh, you should let me into your business school. You should let me come and work for Procter & Gamble because they're like, whoa, when were you a leader? I'm like, oh, I was a leader in this, and here's what I did. So you should hire me because I was a leader, because I was a leader there, because I did this, because I did this. Yeah. What's your proof about why you're better than all the other options out there?
Yeah, we call that as which means to you. Right.
That's
what we really, and that's on the sales side of it though. But here's my because, which means to you, which benefits you in this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so your model goes in reverse of mine, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So anyway, I get to business school, I get to Procter & Gamble, and now I'm in marketing. I don't know anything about marketing, right? And so I get into marketing as a leader at Procter & Gamble. I came out, I got to Coors Brewing Company because P&G wasn't the best cultural fit for me. Mm-hmm. Get to Coors, beer industry, better cultural fit. I move on. And while I'm there, I meet this guy who was a professional speaker, and I'm like, professional, and I love being in front of an audience. I grew up in my little town. I was the lead in all the high school plays. Like when I'm in presenting to the distributor community at Coors, I'm like, I love being in front of the audience.
That's your jam.
It was like my thing. I'm like this. And so I meet this guy who's a professional speaker, and I'm like, you're a professional speaker. He goes, yeah. I'm like, so how long do you speak for? He's like, well, I speak for an hour.
Yeah.
I'm like, how much does someone pay you to speak for like an hour? And he's like, yeah, $5,000.
Right.
And this is 2006, right? And I'm like, $5,000. Like, wow. I'm like,
You're doing the
like,
math.
how many times a year do you do this? He goes, 80 to 100. I'm like, whoa, my, right? And I have an MBA from a top school. I'm running a $2 billion brand, and he's running circles around me like I'm a joke. And I asked him, I said, well, what did you do before you were a professional speaker? And he's like, I was a high school teacher. I'm like, what can I get? What could I say that someone would pay me $5,000 to say? And I started to marinate on this over the years. And then what I figured out was, I'm like, I've been a brand manager, a vice president for multiple billion-dollar brands. Maybe people want to know what billion-dollar brands know, and that's how I can launch my speaking
beautiful.
career.
That is beautiful. So, and we're in speaker mode right now. So these podcasts, they have some speakers on, but they have other leaders on in industry and folks. So, but being in speaker mode, I'm just going to go with that. How did you take all that and boil it down? And I'm sure that your audience maybe are aspiring speakers or small business owners who want to get to that information. And so for that reason, I think it will fit here. But how did you go, everyone just thinks these companies have so much money. They just throw enough money at things and they'll find out which sticks, but they lose probably millions of dollars finding out how they can make tens of millions.
I guess that could be. So how do you boil it all down? What was interesting when I launched my speaking career was I have all this knowledge about how we influence people to buy things. And that's what big companies do.
Yeah.
They're good at influencing you to buy things. And there's techniques that we use in influencing you to buy that you don't even know we're doing. And we're doing it. You watch a commercial and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to buy that thing.
Psychology, NLP, people,
no, it's not
words.
NLP stuff. But it's in my book. Like, look, look. No, but it's a very basic framework. And most of us in business are good at making promises. Hey, you know what? Buy from us. It's going to be better. It's going to be higher quality. We're going to have better customer service. You should buy from us. And we give them these promises.
Yeah.
But we don't finish the sentence of influence. Oh, it's going to be better, because everyone ends up saying the same thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, hire me as a speaker and your audience is going to love it. They're going to get so much value. And everyone goes, well, yeah, everyone says that.
Yes.
So, okay, now if everyone says the same thing, which one do I choose? I'm back where I started, right? If everyone in your industry, I say it like this. A few years ago, I'm making ribs. I run down to the grocery. I realize I'm out of barbecue sauce. So I run to the grocery store to get barbecue sauce. You walk into the grocery store, and there's 42 kinds of barbecue sauce. Okay, great. Which one are you going to choose, right? To your customers, especially the ones who don't know you, you look like barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
And if your label on your sauce is the same as all the other barbecue sauce, you haven't helped me choose you.
Yeah.
You've just made me more confused, because all of you you look all the same.
Yeah.
Especially customers who don't know. People are like, we have relationships. I'm like, yeah. What about the customers who are new? You don't have a relationship.
And also, when they say that too, what they mean is, I see them in the hallway when I'm in their building visiting them, and once in a while I say hi, and they say hi back to me, and they know my name.
Right. Yeah.
That's what they really mean a lot of the times.
Or they've worked with us a lot of relationships are critical. Like, I've worked with you, got a track record, I know what to expect.
Yeah.
I know how you compare to others.
But at the end of the day, it's usually a financially beneficial relationship. It's not true loyalty.
No, especially today.
Yeah.
The nature of relationships is changing. And so what we need to think about is, oh, wait a minute. What about people I don't have a relationship with? Or what about someone who shows up selling to the person I have a relationship with, who adds more value and who does a different thing that they care about more?
Right.
Well, yeah, because if it's a financial relationship, someone shows up with a lower price. Okay, now what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Well, and that's a whole other thing. I just did a whole article about, for contractors especially.
Oh, I love it.
All people care about is lowest price. They just care about low price.
I've spent many years fighting that.
Here's
on that
the
hill.
thing, because but here's the thing. Your clients want you to believe that all they care about is lowest price because it's better for them. Turns out it's not the only thing they care about, but they want you to believe that, and all contractors are bought into this. Well, we're just bidding for the job. We got to be lowest price. And for some clients, that is all they care about. Maybe they're not your best clients.
Yeah.
But there's all these other emotional factors and other rational factors, like all the things we know. Is it going to be done on time? What's your track record? What is your staffing? What's my certainty it's actually going to be done the way you said? What's going to be the rework? What's going to be all of your, what do they call it when you have to do work after the bid is done?
So the change orders.
What's your track record on change orders? Who have you done this for? How many times have you done this at this scale? There's all these other factors that throw a wrench into, well, yeah, we're the lowest price, but I don't trust you.
Right.
I don't think that what you're saying is true. Now your lowest price goes out the window, and they're like,
wait, who's the one? It bites the person who hired them.
So then the question is this. Okay, you're going to promise me on time and best quality and most certainty. And
it's almost like platitudes.
You're going to, right?
Yeah.
And so we're good at promising. But what we're not good at is finishing the sentence of influence. Here, we're going to be better quality than the other 6 people because.
Yeah.
And your brain, your subconscious, your gut is looking for the ending of the sentence, which is the words that come after the words because. Last time you gave a referral, here's what you said. Oh, you got to go down to this restaurant because. In fact, there's a restaurant right here in Fort Lauderdale I'm going to give you a recommendation for. I've not even been to it yet, but I've been to their version in New York City. I can give you their because.
Yeah.
So, okay, now you probably want to know what it is, right? And everyone on the podcast wants to know, well, what is it? So in New York City, there's a trend where, think about the business model of a restaurant. There's only a few factors you have. You got seats, you got prices, you got customers, you got time. People never think about the time factor of a restaurant.
Like the churn?
Yeah. There's a sushi restaurant in New York City called Sushi by Boo, where you know how much time you get in the seat? You get 30 minutes. You sit down, you get 30 minutes to get out of the seat. You'll get 12 pieces of sushi in 30 minutes served directly to you. There's 8 seats in the restaurant.
And you know that going in. A lot of
Well, you got a 30-minute slot. Like that's the whole idea.
That's right.
And so think about their turn. So it's 60. The one here I think is more expensive, but it's $60 in New York City, 8 seats in the entire restaurant.
Wow.
8 seats, but you got to turn them. They turn them every 30 minutes.
Wow.
Right. And the sake is not cheap. It's good. Their stuff is super highest quality. They got 8 seats. They turn them every 30 minutes. Think about that business model. They just took a dimension that no one else, and they work in basement spaces that no one else can rent because they're too small.
Right.
So they got low rent, super high turns, a lot of alcohol, and turns out they're so successful. Now there are several in Florida, and there's one right here in Fort Lauderdale.
You know what else they're doing? They're causing a sense of urgency, like a sense of belonging and.
But here's my bigger point.
Yeah.
Now you know how to refer them.
Yeah.
Right?
They're hooked.
The reason that we don't get as many referrals as we want in any business is because people don't know what to say on our behalf.
Mm-hmm.
You should go to Sushi by Boo because they've changed the model. It's $60 for 30 minutes, made for you right there in a tiny little place where you're going to get to know everyone while you're there.
Yeah.
Because. What are your becauses for your business?
Yeah.
What is the reason I should buy from you as a contractor? Right? Oh, we're going to be higher quality because? Your brain is looking for it and wanting it. And if we don't finish the sentence of influence, if we don't give you a because, it sounds like fluff, and I don't trust you, and I don't believe you, and the only thing you got is lowest price.
Jeremy Torisk again, here to talk to you about driving your business forward. And one of the companies that we always go back to when speaking about examples of this is IBM, a company that just about went extinct until they got rid of everything that didn't focus on their core business initiative. Payroll is oftentimes one of those bugaboo elements of a business that takes up too much time, too much resources. Keeping up with compliance, keeping up with federal, state, local compliance taxes, keeping everything secure and safe and private. ADP is one of those companies that can do this for you and get you and your resources back to what makes you money. Have them handle your payroll processing in just a few clicks, taxes calculated and paid on your behalf, talking federal, state, and local compliance. They have tools and technologies that help you attract, engage, and retain the right people for the right positions to drive your business forward. Workforce management tools, compliance, always focusing on the changes in legislation to allow you to focus on growing your business. Even benefits, 401k and the like. ADP, all your HR, payroll, and compliance needs made easy. Click the link below ADP knows if they get you as a client from this link that you are a quality client, because that's who listens to these programs. I make a couple of shekels because they got appreciation for you, and it doesn't cost you a thing. So it is a win-win-win. ADP, all your HR, payroll, and compliance needs made easy. Click the link in the description and get focused on your core business initiative again. So if most contractors, let's say me, went before I got really seasoned as a relationship guy, and
Yep.
I was like, well, digging up dirt is digging up dirt, putting conduit under dirt is putting conduit under dirt. What could it possibly be? So do you help these business owners identify them, take them through their culture, or and then
Jeremy,
articulate
that's a good question. Let me just, in my book, put the camera up. In my book, no, there are actually 17 ways to create becauses.
That's 17. That's a bigger number than I would have expected.
Yeah, and I've created them all with companies. And in the book, there's actually case studies of every one of the 17 ways, absolutely explained with people that have actually done these things. So I'll give you an example. Oh, digging up dirt. Everyone goes, yep, that sounds about right. Now we're on the same page.
Yeah.
And so some companies, we all dig up the dirt same way, same equipment, same whatever. Okay, well, let's just say, for example, now I don't know your business, one of the things that some contractors, do you subcontract the people digging out the dirt, or does your company do it?
Right.
Oh, wait a minute. No, we subcontract it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my other company over here, they have full-time employees in-house that dig up the dirt.
Yeah.
Who's got higher certainty, right?
Yeah.
It's the one that's got so I worked with a blacktop company. He's like, we're the only company. Now, here's another tip for you. We are the only. What can you say about your business that you are the only?
Right.
You are the only, and that only is valuable to your customers.
Yeah.
Right? We're the only digger-upper of dirt, or in this case, it was like blacktop contractor in the region that has 100% full-time employees. We will show up when we say we'll show up. We'll show up on time. We'll get the job done on time because it's our company.
Yeah.
They work for us. They work for me. Or let's say they're employee owners, or let's say that they're so. Your activity might be a commodity, but your company is not.
Yeah.
Your people are not. Your processes and procedures, the way you approach things is not. There's a company I work for that installs AV equipment in big new builds or renovations, like universities, office buildings. Think about when the AV equipment goes in.
Yeah.
The end. Everything is behind. And the AV installers they need to go shorter, not longer. And think about installing just the equipment you have here. Think about installing AV at scale in a big university building. There's 100 TVs. There's 100.
Oh yeah.
There's cameras. There's this. And there's wires and there's remotes and they all come in boxes and they show up with all these boxes and there's cardboard and there's little parts and there's all this stuff, right? Okay, and you can't be behind, and it's a disaster. And you know what people do? They steal your stuff.
Oh.
Yeah. Because it's AV stuff. Everyone wants to steal the AV stuff. So see all these problems. Insights. So here's what we call these. Insights. The insights can't be late. Pressure under time. Certainty is important. Stuff gets stolen. There's boxes everywhere. There's uncertainty. Yeah. There's and by the way, when you plug it all in, it's got to work.
Yeah.
It's got to work. 100% got to work right all the time. There's a company, actually it's in my book. It's called Lynx. They don't bring all that stuff to the site. They have an entire master warehouse where everything is pre-assembled as it's going to be in the building when it goes in, and they crate it all in a customized way, and so it's all set up, tested, plugged in, pre-done, put in cases, case shows up in the room, boom, 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 we install, done. No boxes, no loss, no theft, it's all.
And then all the parts are there that I'm missing. Oh, we don't have this part. And
think about what that is. It's a because.
That's it.
You should hire us instead of them. We're going to have higher certainty, more likelihood we're going to be done on time because we're the only one with a staging area.
Is one of your 17 talk about how to take a weakness and make it a strength?
It does. Think about when you have one of the toughest things, as you probably know right now, is to get tradespeople to do anything.
Oh, well,
I do a lot of work in really.
And it's, to be fair, people say that it's always been hard to get good tradespeople,
Well,
right? So that's
right.
the same side of the same coin.
Totally.
Yeah, it's always been a problem.
And so to hire, if you run a plumbing company, an HVAC company, or whatever company, they're all coming to me saying, Jerry, we need to help. We need your framework of influence to help influence people to work for us.
Yeah.
Just like we need to influence people to buy from us.
You have a person in your chapter in Denver, Susan Frew, who's
Yep.
really good at finding good people.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. So the question is, why would I work for you? Just
Right.
like, why would I buy from you? Right? Well, you would work for us instead of all the other companies because what are your proof points about what it's going to be like to work here versus there?
Yeah.
Or work in this industry versus any other industry, right? So think about if you run an HVAC company and all you can get are brand new young technicians. Okay. And you are in a community with a bunch of older people with older homes that don't like young people.
Okay.
Or it's not that they don't like them because they're young. They don't think they're going to be as good as someone who's been doing this for 20 years, right? So you talked about taking your negative and turning it into a positive. Well, think about insights. So the framework is 1, who are you influencing? 2, what are their insights? 3, what is the outcome? The promise, which we're all good at. 4, what's your because, right?
Wow.
So let's think about who are we influencing? We're influencing some people that don't think that young people have the skills as much as a 20-year-old person. What has happened about HVAC or any kind of technology in our homes over the last 10 years?
Gotten smart.
It's gotten smart. It's gotten more complicated. It talks to my phone. And just because I'm older doesn't mean I'm not using my smartphone. I love my smartphone. I love my social media.
But the guy who's 20 years in installing it.
Yeah, wait a minute now. Hold on. How did your negative thing all of a sudden be, can you bring the young kid in who knows how to make it all talk to my internet and my phone and all of a sudden you take your negative and you turn it into a positive because you're following the framework.
Yeah.
Who are you influencing? What are the insights? The insights is complicated, but I want everything to talk to each other. The outcome is we're the best in the whole region at technology. That's because our young reps have been to this factory training. They understand it. They use it in their own homes, blah, blah, blah. They know how to do it differently than anyone else, right? Yeah. And so, you can take, the framework will produce results if you follow the framework.
Yeah, and I think we're not one to take our competition's name and use it in negative ways when we're talking to people, but you can do the same with their strengths. You can make them weaknesses. The same way.
So I'll give you another nugget out of the book, or out of my keynote. Brain science shows us that people are about twice as motivated to avoid what they don't want.
Twice as motivated? Yeah, okay.
As they are to get what they do.
Okay.
Right? People are like insights. Question number 2. What are your insights of the people you're trying to influence? What do they want more of? What do they want less of? What do they hope for? What do they fear? People are twice as motivated to avoid what they fear is going to happen.
I think
what do they fear is going to happen if I hire you? What do they fear is going to happen if I don't hire you and I hire the guy that's got the subcontractors? Oh, I'm afraid they're not going to show up, or it's going to be 2 weeks late, or it's going to, right? Yeah. People are about twice as motivated to avoid what they don't want. So how do you take away things that people don't want or things that people fear? You don't even have to talk about your competitors.
No, yeah.
You can just talk about what you do. And if no one else is talking about it, or if they're not talking about it, they'll think, well, geez, if you do that, you must be saying that those people don't do that.
Right, exactly.
The perception
is almost the opposite of sneaky selling. It's sneaky, comparing.
When I was the brand manager of Coors Light, and everyone is familiar with, we rolled out the bottle and the can where the mountains turn blue when it's cold enough to drink. I rolled those out. Before we rolled those out, we rolled out another thing that is not as well known. It's called the Coors Light Frost Brew Liner Can. Okay. Now, this aluminum can, inside the can has a blue liner inside the can. What do you suppose that can does?
It must turn color like a mood ring when it hits a certain color?
The liner's inside the can.
Okay.
Can't see it.
So it just keeps it cold?
I didn't say it kept it cold.
Well, it helped.
Let me tell you. Nope, it doesn't even help keep it cold. It doesn't. In fact, and you're making my point. We put here's the secret. You guys want, Jeremy, this is for everybody. You want the secret of the Frost Brew Liner can?
You look right into that camera there.
Every aluminum can ever made has had a liner inside of it. It's always been clear. You can't put aluminum next to beer or it will corrode.
Wow.
We turned our clear liner blue and told you it
About
existed. Yeah. And we gave it a fancy name. We called it the Coors Light Frost Brew Liner Can. And we told you it locks in refreshing frost brewed taste.
And it does, but so does all the others. But you made a point.
So do all the other cans. The first year we turned the liner blue, we made an incremental $100 million.
Oh, my God.
$100 million incremental revenue because we showed you something we were already doing. Here's the thing. You're already doing things. I work with companies to implement this framework.
I want to go. My nature is to go deep on things, and this is not the show for that. But I want to go so deep on how that came about. And but I won't. It's not. It's a time for another conversation.
Right. But the point is,
so interesting.
People are like, well, and I'm not saying you should be misleading to your customers.
Not at all.
What I am saying is, over and over and over, when I work with companies, you're already doing things that make you better, that make you special, and many times they're your best kept secret.
Well, that's the point. Is it kind of the reason I want to go that deep is because every company has these things that they can touch on, but they don't have the dialectic. So here's the thing, especially solopreneurs. I'm alone, I'm doing my business, and I only see what I see, and I'm a hammer and everything's a nail. All right? So I'm doing monologues to myself. But when you invite people, when you ask for help, when you get mentors, when you get coaches, when you go seek knowledge and wisdom from people who've been there, then you get some different perspective. Then when you get these relationships where you can start talking about things, you got dialectic, which is the third truth coming from two different perspectives.
Right.
And without that outreach and trusting somebody and being vulnerable and having real conversations, you don't get any of this. Yeah. That doesn't come by one guy just going, let's look at it. That came from 18 conversations and whatever. Yeah. It just doesn't come from one thing typically.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we had a year-long debate on the Coors Light brand about whether, because we start with insights, right? What are the insights? The insights are people want beer that tastes good, people that helps them relax, people that makes them socially look cool. There's like these 8 insights, right? Mm-hmm. One of them was we want our beer to be colder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
And so we had a year-long debate on Coors Light about whether we could make our beer colder. Colder than what? Colder than the other beer in the same refrigerator? Like, you see, no one's going to believe us. That's the outcome. The promise they want is colder beer. But what's your because? Yeah. If you say, well, our beer is colder, it just sounds dumb. Yeah. No, our beer is colder because. Yeah. We got the Frost Brew Liner Can because the mountains turn blue when it's cold enough to drink, because there's a cooler box. You put ice in the box, because there's a thing called super cold draft. It's poured below freezing, because. How do you take a commodity, something that's the same as everyone else's, and give it a because?
How do you do it? I think one word is intentional. You do an intentional.
Yeah,
and be intentional about it.
You get the book called "They Buy Your Because," and it explains exactly.
But I like the cover. The cover is right there. Is all about commodity.
Yeah, it's
the one differentiator.
It's the blue can.
That's right.
It's a can with a blue liner, baby. Right. So my point about telling you about the can with the blue liner is, we didn't even have to say anything negative about our competitors. No, turns out they all had it too. Boy, the people from Bud Light were like, "Are you kidding me right now?"
What's wrong with these guys? And how could they go out and go, well, we have that too.
We have a red liner or what? I mean, right? Like once it's out, right? And so we didn't talk badly about them, but everyone thought, well, Coors Light has got a liner and they don't.
Yeah.
No, they do. It's just that you don't know they do.
And now you do. Now you do. Now you know we do.
Now you know we do. We didn't say anything bad about them.
You didn't even say what it does necessarily.
No.
It contributes to, it's there for.
Yeah, no, we did, Jeremy.
But it didn't. It didn't how it differentiate what it does versus every other can out there.
We told you it locks. It's funny because I'll show this to my audience. I'll show a big visual of the Frost Brew Liner can. It'll be an actual ad, and on the actual ad, it literally says, "Coors Light Frost Brew Liner Can. It locks in refreshing frost brewed taste." Right. And I'll be like, "What does the can do?" And they'll be like, "It keeps it cold." I'm like, it locks in refreshing frost brewed taste."
But it doesn't say that it more than the competitors or anything.
Nope.
It just I love that. So you're really walking a true, honest statement.
So if you're the first one to say it, you get the benefit. Or if everyone else does it, but you're the one who talks about it and they don't.
That's right.
You have to understand what are the insights of your customers and do they care about that thing or not? right?
Yeah.
If you're talking to me about something that everyone does and no one cares about it, who cares? But if they're not talking about it, here's an example for contractors. Hey, what if this was your thing? We're a plumbing company, and we will. This is an insight. What's a preconceived notion about someone who comes to your house as a plumber, HVAC, whatever? What do you think?
Well, a couple of things come to mind. I mean, they're tradesmen. They're locked in on their one thing that they do, and they do it best. They've been doing it a long time. They've had a lot of training. You can't be there without that. And they're doing stuff that I don't want to do.
You're doing stuff you don't want to do. One of the big insights I hear is, oh, man, you can't trust them. Every time the furnace guy comes, you need a new furnace.
Oh, yeah. They're going to find something wrong, right?
They're going to, because the insight about many homeowners is they're like, I don't know if I need what they're telling me or not, because I don't know how to do what they do. So
I'm almost happy I didn't guess it, because I talk a lot about, we have something, Dr. Jeff Spencer talks about supernatural thinking. Natural thinking is negative thinking, survival thinking, negative thoughts. Yeah. And I tell people, and they don't believe, I'm like, I don't think they have 87,000 negative thoughts a day and all this stuff. So when you ask me, I'm like, positive, positive, positive. Dr. Jeff, that's supernatural thinking. But you're right. They're going to find something wrong, and it's going to cost a lot of money.
Well, and it's a fear. It's an insight.
It is a fear, right?
And so now if I'm in HVAC or if I'm in plumbing sales or whatever, I'm going in knowing they might not trust what I say.
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's not good or bad. It's just what it is. And so that's what we have to sell against, right? Okay, fine. So if the insight is, I don't trust you, what if we became the plumbing company that what we're known for is we are the company that will come and give you a second opinion? You know what?
Everybody so you're always does this. Following the second. Yeah.
Everybody gives a second opinion. It's free. Anyway. Anyone would do it. But do you know they do that? No, you don't. And if you're the only one talking about it, all of a sudden they trust
always
you.
Call us last. And
call us last, and we'll give you the real, we'll give you see, just the idea increases trust.
Oh, yeah.
And it becomes a because. And everyone does it, but no one knows everyone does it. So if you're the one who talks about it, you get the benefit. Yeah, right.
This is really the lifeblood of a business: is understanding these things, is articulating my because. Yep. I mean,
Here's the opening of my book. It talks about there's thousands of things you need to do to run a successful business, but nothing happens until you influence the customer to buy from you. It is the foundation of everything. Without it, there is no other thing. All the operations and the logistics and all the other things that we do, none of that happens unless you get someone to say yes.
So does this not only just tell you about that, is it a roadmap?
It is a roadmap. In fact, there's actually it literally is a roadmap to doing exactly what I say to do. And in fact, there's actually a roadmap in the book.
Oh,
check that
there you
out.
go.
There's exactly what the framework looks like.
I will superpose that later. We'll put it in post
but it is a step by step process of how to influence people.
Love it. I've got 5 companies right now that I know need this. I mean, literally, I own 3 of them. So
nice. And the book is on Amazon. They buy your because it'll pop up. It's easy. Good. My dad said today, it just got published 2 weeks ago. And so I sent my parents a copy, and he's like, I called him this morning. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I was actually reading your book, and it's a very easy read. So according to my dad, it's an easy read.
Now, let me ask you this. Which number book is this that have you written?
1.
Yeah. Man, that's a big accomplishment.
Yeah. This is a real deal book, too.
Big.
Here's the thing about this book.
Yeah.
No ghostwriting. 100% of the words are mine. Period. I wrote this. It took 3 years. There's 44 case studies in here. People are like, "You gonna write another book?" I'm like, "No, I wrote this."
I don't have time. I mean, why? No. This is what's been said.
This is,
and this is not. So I have a book too, but it's like my experiences growing up, and slight advantage comes from that adversity we talked about.
Yep.
We haven't really talked about adversity, which is fine. That's kind of my slight edge. Is that there's nothing. I get punched in the face for a hobby these days, right? I love martial arts, and that's fun to me. So, my story is more memoir, and so it goes up to when I sold my company, but doesn't even have the sell of the company,
right?
And all this new adventure that I've gone on the last year. And so I have a part B, C, D to that book. It's going to be. I call it the tip of the iceberg. It's a lot of shit that hasn't even surfaced yet. But this is a how-to book. And you're right. It's a much different book, and I'm very proud of you for this.
Thank you. How to influence people in any situation, in any business, to get them to buy from you, to work for you, give you money, influence people in any situation. Yeah. It's a framework, and it's complete, and it works.
It sounds like it's a lot of logic.
It's well, and so you know, what's your superpower, right? My brain, one of my clients is like a personality, like they do a Myers-Briggs kind of company, except more focused on business. And they're one of my clients, and they had me do their assessment, and they're like, I came back and said, well, how did I do? Like, what? And they're like, yeah, it's not really like, but they said, here's what we found out. It's something fascinating. I fall in only 3% of the population. I said, oh, really? Like, what is it? And they said, it's really uncommon, but it explains why you do what you do so well. Like, what is it? They said, you scored off the charts on creativity and logic at the same time.
Wow.
And so
makes sense.
my superpower is taking complicated things and making them simple.
Right. It's funny because those were the exact words of our biggest speaker when I talked about him a little earlier tonight with Jeff Hoffman.
Yeah.
That's his exact.
Really?
He said his differentiator is he makes complex things more simple.
Yeah.
So and you're big marketing, he's big marketing. So there's a common thread for people who do marketing well, just like trying to find a good tradesman. Anyone can say they do marketing. Yeah. But who can do it effectively and well? And that seems like a common thread now between two hit.
And who can explain to other people how to do it?
Yeah.
And that's what the book does. It takes everything out of my brain and it puts it into a framework so anyone can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have to land this plane because I need to get you to the hotel so you can get ready for dinner with the board tonight. We're looking forward to that. What's the next for you? What would you like to tell the audience? How can we support you? You know, I'm going to turn on your camera and just let us know, how can we support you?
I would say for sure it'll be worth your time. This is a good read. It's a fun read, and it will change how you think about not only how you influence others, but how others are influencing you. So buy it and leave me a review. And if you need a big time speaker at your conference and you have your attendees have to influence anyone to do anything, I'm your guy.
So we do a lot of podcasts, audio. So we're showing this book. Tell us the name of the book, but also your last name is tricky.
Yep.
And it's easy, but it's not common.
So if you type this into Amazon, it'll pop right up. It's called They Buy Your Because.
They buy your because. They B-U-Y your
they buy.
Because.
Yeah, B-U-Y. And if you type in They Buy, it will pop up. And my last name is spelled O-B-R-I-O-N. And there are only, if you put that into LinkedIn, you will find me and all my cousins.
Right.
Like there are no others. There are no others.
My last is literally spelled to risk.
Oh,
but you risk nothing when you work with me.
Oh, well.
So I tell people to risk, and there's only one of me. I think my cousin, who's a cop, has an account. But the funny thing is, his wife's name is Christy also. Christy Torisk.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So we have two. Anyway, very easy, but O'Brien with two O's. Yep. My wife said O-B-R-A-N. I said, no, two O's.
They're not in a row.
Right.
Yeah, O-B-R-I-O-N.
And I think I sent your agreement probably wrong. You get a bunch of emails probably wrong, and you're like, O'Brien, two O's. Yeah, but guess what? It's an advantage. It's different. It's your differentiator. And we love having you on here, man. Again, I'm so proud to have you here.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this for our chapter. Thank you for doing this for me and our audience.
Love it.
It's an honor to have this. Thank you.
Super fun. Thank you.
And we will see you again on the next edition of the Slight Edge Advantage. We thank you for watching. Put into the chat in the comment section. Reach out to me. Let us know your because. Why are people doing business with you? And let us know what you thought about the book. Give it 5 stars, an honest 5-star review, I always say. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll talk to you soon.